Welcome to Affording College with Greene, founder and president of College Liftoff.
All right, so thanks, D30 guy. All right, so I'm sitting here with Madeleine, one of our students that went through our program, and also Emma, our new client relations manager, and just kind of talking through, well, we thought we'd just talk through how things have gone for Madeleine. Again, she went through our process in our program, and she's now a sophomore at Kent State. And we thought it'd just be nice to hear from somebody that actually is going through it, literally in the fire of the whole thing. So welcome in, Madeleine.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Here. Good. Pretty good.
Good. So just tell us, how things going at Kent State? What are you studying? Let's get started there. Give us a little of your story.
Well, obviously, I'm Madeleine. I am at Kent State right now. I'm studying visual communication design, which is basically a long, fancy way of saying graphic design. Things are going great. I love Kent. I love where I'm at. I love the community I've been able to create through Kent, which I honestly don't know if I would have gotten anywhere else. My major is going really well. It's definitely difficult, but it's rigorous and amazing. And I feel
Kent
like
State's
I'm
a pretty
getting
solid
better.
program, and I mean, it's one of the best in the country at this.
Yeah, exactly. And I know, I think that so many of my friends feel like they were just so lucky to have stumbled into the Kent's program because I live in Medina or which is a town close to Kent. They were just I'm lucky I stumbled upon this amazing program, but I don't know, I always feel like I have a little secret. I'm like, haha, I knew. I knew all along. But yeah.
So how did you figure that out? Give us a little background. How did you arrive at visual communication design? How did you get to Kent State? All of these things.
Yeah. Well, getting to visual communication design was, I feel like, someplace that, I don't know, I would like to think that I would have gotten there eventually, but I honestly don't know if I wouldn't have gotten there without College Liftoff, which sounds a little cheesy, but it's true. I did not know what I wanted to do. I mean, I'm a fairly creative person, but also, I don't know, analytical, and I like logical things. So I basically came in, and I think I probably came in around junior year, I think. And at that time I was like, I'm going to be a pastry chef. And now I'm like, yikes. I think just looking at that analytically, even just for example, pastry chef was it's late nights and stressful and a lot of I don't know, everything's stressful, but I think that it just wasn't a good fit. Finding graphic design, I think I felt like it just seemed very artsy to me at first, and I was I don't know, I'm not really an artist, I don't know, I think doing design would be cool, but I don't know, I don't think I'm talented enough for it. I don't think I have enough artistic ability. But once we dug into what all the multifaceted aspects of what graphic design could be, it was really exciting because design is truly the place where art meets thinking. Yeah, I just think I was really lucky. And even just with College Liftoff, once we decided, okay, graphic design seems it's a good place to start with. Once we got there, I know there was so many different kind of things within graphic design that I didn't realize. Some schools are more artsy and it's genuinely just art in online form, using Adobe products. But we were able to find what fit me best, which was a more logical side of design.
Well, we've really found that there are all these different versions of graphic design, right? So now we have visual communication design, which is this three-dimensional version of itself, where you can do anything from package design to even storefront design. So it's funny, I use this all the time, where people think of interior designers from HGTV. You got to go get an interior designer. No, those are visual communication designers. Those are people that actually design the interior aesthetic of what the brand identity of a thing is trying to be, right? So it's so much more in depth than that.
Right. I think the biggest challenge too, like you said when you came in at 16 and you're I wanted to be a pastry chef.
Right.
Is you didn't even know that visual communication design was necessarily a thing out there. I'm sure you'd heard of graphic design before, but that whole entity and exploring the idea that, okay, this is something that my skills and my interests could kind of point towards, and then coming to terms with the fact too that this is something that I could actually do. I tell my students all the time when we're doing research on things are you shying away from it because you don't like it or because you're scared of it? Because if you're scared of it,
it's a really super good point.
Right, don't shy away from it. You can do whatever you put your mind to. We'll find the right program for you that's going to meet you where you are as far as skills go. But if it sounds boring, then that's a whole other thing, obviously. But I think that's for the 16-year-olds coming in. It's I don't even know what the world of work looks like. So tackling that can just be so daunting.
Yeah.
Saying that's a a good point, Emma. So, like, thinking back to high school for you, like, think about, like, sophomore year, even freshman year, how did you feel about the thought of getting ready for college? How did that really go, and then what did you end up with as far as a mentality and idea for it?
Yeah, I think that for me, college was definitely like a far off, distant thing where I'm like, my mom's a college professor, so I'm like, it's gonna happen, but I'm like, who really knows? Like, and it definitely was something that like I like, you know, you would hear like it was kind of like the common joke like among high schoolers that it's like, how are we like we're 16? How are we supposed to be making this decision that affects us until we're like right, exactly? And they're like, well, like once you get to sophomore year, you'll figure it out. And we were at sophomore year, and we're like, I don't feel much better about this. Like, I'm doing well in my classes, but like, what does that even mean? But yeah, I definitely like, and of all the places, like, I don't know. I was like, okay, I'm like, OSU was around the corner, like maybe OSU, like, but I honestly hadn't heard of Kent, which is bad. Like May 4th, like I should have heard of Kent, like probably says a little bit about my history education, but like I didn't know about Kent.
But how would you? You know, it's just one of those things where it's like 4,000 universities in this country.
Right.
In the state of Ohio, I'm going to lie because I don't know this number off the top of my head exactly, but it's close to like 200 or 300, something crazy.
Yeah, and I feel like that's definitely like a hard thing to like push on kids where it's like you're supposed to be a kid, but also you're supposed to be like this adult, like making like thousands of dollars worth of decisions, and it's insane.
Yeah, so how are you going to know? How are you going to do anything like that? With the way we kind of arm our kids today, it's in the general sense. It's just like exactly what you just said. Just go out and just do this thing, right? Go buy this house without no practical experience on how to do that, and no concept of like an asset of that value and what it's going to magnitude to be. All of these things.
Yeah, it's like I have like a curfew set by the government, but yet, I can't. You know, I'm like I can't stay out past like 11 or something like that. But yet, I'm going to be spending like how many like thousands and thousands of dollars? But
yeah, and what does that even mean?
Right.
So, what changed for you? How did the process really help? Or just tell us about like what. Yeah. What really helped you get to where you are now, feeling really confident about your school choice, feeling really good about the major you're in, and with a future at it because of the school is so good at it. I mean, the future is pretty much fantastic now in this market. So what got you there?
The main thing that got me there was College Liftoff, of course. But I feel like their support, along with the support of my family and like the dedicated time for discovery of like my passions and it feels, I don't know, because as a kid, like it kind of felt like a little like selfish, like, you know, like I have so many other things going on. I have extracurriculars. I'm supposed to be volunteering. I'm supposed to be building my resume. I'm supposed to be doing this and that. And like, you never really get to take time for yourself. And just like, it just felt, you know, it was the best kind of like self-esteem booster almost too, because it was like, I deserve the time to like think about myself and think about my future. Like I deserve like this gift I'm giving myself, like that my parents like were able to give me of like thinking about my future and like really practically thinking about like my life going forward. But yeah, I think College Liftoff was like what got me there, just being able to like think practically. And like I know it was because I mean I think we like kind of started like when it was, I mean you weren't super new, but it was like newer? Well, College Liftoff or no?
No, actually, you were about. This was about 4 or 5 years ago at this point. So so we're probably like 4 or 5 years into the process, into the company's history,
right? And I feel like I don't know. I definitely had never heard of like any of my friends like doing that, and it wasn't like I don't want to do it because my friends are doing it, but it was just like
it wasn't a known thing.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a known thing, and I would hope now that it's a little bit of more of a known thing, but yeah, like I think it was just like this great edge that like I know like I did feel like kind of bad for some of my friends because like even like the last like senior year of high school, like they would talk about like I'm still not sure what I want to do, and like they're like I kind of like math, maybe I'll go into stats, maybe I'll like, you know, they never really had something they were passionate about. And like I know like one of my friends in particular, like she would say that to me all the time. She's like, how do you know, like how, like I'm just so like mind boggled that like you know where you want to go. I genuinely was like, every time I was like, yeah, I'm like, I'm really lucky, but it's because, like, you know, it's not chance. Like, it's not like, you know, like some greater being has gifted this, like, purpose upon me. It was
You owned that. You owned that research process. And I think that's the biggest part of this, too, is one of the, like, non-tangibles that our students get is learning how to do research and own this thing for themselves. Like, what do I want to do professionally? Because nobody can make that decision for you. It's not something that's just bestowed upon you. Or, I mean, ideally, you're not told what you're going to do professionally for the rest of your life. You get to make that decision. And it's a big one. So it takes thoroughly all all of your junior year doing that research to say, what the heck do I want to do? Where do I want to go to study it? And investing time into that decision that is so, so important.
And it takes a guided hand to know what they're doing in order to help you through it. Magic. Yeah. People think that this happens like what you came to, that it's just a magic thing. Like, oh, Madeleine's just gifted with this. And I can't tell you how much sentiment I hear from like, how do you do career development with a 15, 16-year-old? Like, oh, that can't be done. Oh, no. Interestingly enough, it's easier to do with you guys or us at that age than it is any other time in our life. Actually, for a real easy reason, once we get out in the workforce, we're all jaded.
Right.
We've all worked jobs. We're all like bitter about certain experiences that we've had, this and the other. It's based off of experience. But when you can do this type of real fruitful career development work, it takes time to really dive into understanding what these degrees are all about, seeing the universities that really do it really well, seeing this degree and this major in action, all these things. You take the time to, and I love the way you put this, introspectively look at it from your own perspective and see how it really relates to me, and taking the time to do so, you actually can make a difference. You actually can find and see where this kid is taking this, and you, the student yourself, can really hone in and find the place where you want to be and feel good about it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you guys are so busy. There's so many narratives that this generation is the worst, this and the other. Yeah. Every older generation says it's about the younger one, by the way. That's nothing new. But the truth is this, and this is absolutely the truth. You guys are the most overbooked, overworked, oversaturated with all the things that you do generation I've ever seen on paper by far. You all have part-time jobs along with multiple school activities that require full-year commitments and all these other things. Taking the time to really spell out what you're really doing all of this for is so vitally important. Right. We're bogging our kids down with all of these things that they're doing in order to get to college. Why are we not taking the time to actually plan for it?
Yes.
And make good decisions for it versus just like, do all this, go to college, this and the other. Let's actually take the time to actually make a good decision with it.
Right. And I feel like, too, like I don't know, with College Liftoff, too, like I guess when we went in, like we didn't realize that like the first thing would be trying to like figure out, because I think even though like I came in with an idea, like I feel like if you don't have an idea, like that's even more reason, like it shouldn't be scary to go to a college planner, because you're like, well, great, like it's going to be embarrassing, like I don't know what I want to do, like. But I think that that's the even more of a reason to go to a college planner, because like we like mapped through, like I remember like we like it was definitely like I was kind of taken aback because I wasn't expecting it to get personal, and like that you cared so much about like what was important to me. And like I remember we like wrote on a whiteboard that was like, what do I care about? Like I care about people. I care about like empathizing, and I care, you know, like we just went through, and then we like kind of like went through with that. We were like, well, like if you care about people, like maybe being a doctor. And then we were like, oh, blood, maybe not. Like let's skirt around that and like go somewhere else. But like I think that like digging into like who you are is like what, and which also you need guidance for. It's not something that you can like come up with yourself.
Yeah, how many people can just look at themselves and be able to think through themselves critically? If we're honest about that, that's something we really don't do. Yeah. And truth be told, you know, you guys deserve that. Right. Our students deserve that. Your kids out there, they deserve that. They deserve the time to really be able to see what it is they're doing, why they're doing it, and what does that mean going forward, and then connecting industries to that. And you're absolutely right, Madeleine. Knowing the starting point is not knowing what you want to do. Truth be told, even for the kids that we experience that think they do.
Right, exactly.
Because we have a lot of students that walk in the door, like we'll have a valedictorian, I use this example a lot, that walks in and says, you know, I really want to be a neurosurgeon. Well, the truth is that kid doesn't know any more about neurosurgeon than anybody else does. They're saying it because it sounds smart, you know? Yeah. Now, they may have an interest in the body and biology and the brain possibly, but they've never seen that job in action. They don't really know what it entails and what it really takes to do that as a work. They've never experienced it. At least as by walking in and saying, I don't know, at least you're being honest about it. Right. You know, so in both cases, we have to dial those students back in order for them to gauge their own interests and seeing how they correlate to the work world, how they correlate to career paths. Yeah. And then give them doses of exposure to that. So that, again, that way you feel good about it. You feel confident about it. Yeah. So thanks again for sitting in with us. Any last questions, any parting thoughts you have for parents or students out there?
I would just say that, and I'm sure you'll cover this more later, but just that I think that this college planning process is a logical process. And even though it has a lot to do with like your future and your hopes and your dreams, I think it's so important that you take both. And I guess just looking at like, yes, this is what I want. I don't know, looking at your hopes and your dreams, but also like logically, like looking at, the financial aspect. And I think that that's like, I'm sure you'll touch on it later more, but I think that the idea and the fantasy around a school can be, and like the idea of like who you'll be at the school. Like I applied to a few different schools, and like I applied to Syracuse University. I was like, at Syracuse, like I'll be like a chic, like I'm going to be like wearing my snow boots and like going out like skiing. And then I was like in Indiana, like I'd have my cowboy hat on, like I'll like be like hanging out with the, I think that we create these different personas for ourselves, like based on like who we want to become. And I think that it's, again, like I guess it is, again, just like looking inside and being like, no, like it's not who you want to be, but it's who you are, I guess, that like really matters where you're going. And
what you're going to do with it when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madeleine. That was great. Emma, thank you for sitting in with me today.
Yeah, thank you.
Really appreciate it from both of you. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
College Liftoff can help empower you to make college affordable for your student. If you want to learn more about your options, Aaron will be responding directly to your emails. Email him a question at aaron@collegeliftoff.com. Thanks for listening to Affording College with Aaron Greene of College Liftoff. If you'd like more information, visit collegeliftoff.com.